Welcome to another episode of the National Agenda. And you know how we do it on the National Agenda? We discuss all the pressing national issues. So when it comes to any hot issue that has to do with the nation's development and its well-being, you know where to go. It's the National Agenda. By way of information, the issue on our table today calls for a celebration. Yes, indeed, the Ghana Cedi is 60 years. What this means is that it's been 60 years we as a Ghanaian people, or as a nation decided to put the economic sovereignty of our country into our own hands. What I mean to say is that it's been 60 years since we decided to move away from the use of the foreign man's currency into the use of our own currency. By way of information, let me make it clear that the Cedi, just like any other country's currency, has been faced with a number of challenges from the time that we experienced COVID through to times of war. Currencies have struggled to meet its intended purpose. So most often than not, even when central government have formulated policies to resolve these challenges as at when they come, a lot of people, including the Ghanaian people, have had their own ideas and have believed that central banks and central government have failed them. Well, let me not waste your time. Today on the show, we will be discussing the Cedi 60 years and what impact they've made when it comes to central bank's policy and how it is faring on the international front. But let me also make it clear that I have in the studios with me a gentleman who will be helping me make or discuss or delve deep into the issue with the Cedi. But before that, let's look at what I have for you. So by way of information, the Cedi was introduced into the Ghanaian system on the 19th of July, 1965. That was exactly the time that we as a people decided that we will make the Ghanaian Cedi a state symbol that will signify the progress we have achieved when it comes to the market and the economic space. And so, I stated earlier in my delivery that the Cedi has undergone tremendous transformation. So let's have a look at these transformations. That's a pictorial view of how far the Cedi has gone. We have here those that we used to call the Peswa. Yes. And then we are seeing pictures of the new Cedis. Alright, so from the table, we can see clearly that during the year of 2007, or in 2007, we saw the first change of the Cedi since 1992. There was a redenomination of our Ghanaian Cedis. I mean, if those of you who were there at that time, you remember this popular song, "The Bank of Ghana is changing our currency. From July 2007, the value will change. There is no change in value. The value is the same." That's what I'm talking about. I'm sure this is giving a lot of Ghanaians nostalgic feelings. But those nostalgic feelings were on the backdrops of the fact that the central government had decided that they would carry on with that idea of making sure that the average trader, the average market woman, finds it easy and convenient when making trade with the Ghanaian Cedi or when using the Ghanaian Cedi. What do I mean? So you realize that the old Cedi had a lot of zeros attached to it, and so if the market woman or the trader went to the market and was trading, they would have to carry a lot of Ghanaian notes, Ghanaian Cedi notes. And that came up with a lot of challenges. So the central bank decided that they were going to introduce a new form of currency under the leadership of the former president, His Excellency John Adekun Kufuor. So we saw 10,000 old Ghana Cedis change to what we have currently, the 1 Ghana Cedis. Yes, the 1 Ghana Cedi. And like I said, this was just to enable easy access to the Ghana Cedis and easy use to bring convenience. Now in 2012, there was also another tremendous change that happened. There was a currency switch. And even though we did not engage in redenomination, we decided to what? Introduce new notes and new coins into the system. So we saw the introduction of the new 50 Cedi notes. And this was also to give room for the average Ghanaian trader to handle huge sums of money, in a very little way. It could be huge money, but then it was just little in our hands. Now, in 2019, we also saw the introduction of new designs. But the purpose for the introduction of this new design was different from the first two. One thing that was paramount in 2019 when it comes to the change in the Ghana cedi was the fact that they sought to enhance the security features of the Ghanaian cedi. And these security features were intended to help eradicate, if not totally, the issue that has to do with printing of counterfeits. So in 2019, we saw the introduction of the 100 cedi note, which was predominantly gray in color with the turquoise highlight, featuring the Ghanaian Parliamentary Chamber. Yes, so the Chamber of Parliament was embedded at the back of the Ghana cedi, the 100 cedi note. There was also the introduction of the 200 cedi note, which was predominantly terracotta with the red-gray highlight. And it also featured the Jubilee House at the back. And then interestingly, another coin was introduced, the 2 cedi coin. You know, prior to the 2019 change, the 2012 currency switch introduced what we called, no, I think it was in the 2007 redenomination, we saw the 2 cedi switch. And so it was also highlighted here. And in 2019, they sought to introduce a coin. So on the coin, we saw the coat of arms in front, and then we saw the Jubilee House at the back. And like I said, the purpose was to ensure that we as a people had a currency that could not be counterfeited by any illegal or dubious people. Now, let me take you to my next slide. And over here are the reforms that the central bank made based on the changes that happened on the Ghanaian cedis. And see, because trade was becoming more contemporary, because of the introduction of digital technology, the central bank saw the need for them to allow the use of digital forms of marketing or use of the Ghanaian cedi, if I should say. So for instance, there were introduction of digital payments like the mobile money. We saw the ease-waste transaction also beginning to happen. Unlike the orthodox way where transaction will be done by just an exchange of money, currency note for a good, or bank transactions. Now we saw the use of mobile money. And if you remember that old MTN mobile money advert, Mensa account. Yes, I'm sure you remember. So that was when we saw all those things happening. And then one other thing that was also happening was that just when we were effecting these changes on our currency, inflation didn't spare us. We saw a lot of inflation. Inflation was rising, especially in 2014 and in 2015. Inflation rose so high. In 2022 and 2023, we saw a similar thing happening. And it looks as though anytime we effected a change on our Ghanaian cedi, inflation was playing with us and depreciation was also playing with us. Now, what was the essence of these changes? And these essences came up from my analysis or from my research. And I gathered that, look, predominantly, the changes were based on two things. And these two things were what? One, to address the effect of inflation and depreciation. And also to ensure that the Ghanaian customer or the average Ghanaian experiences some form of convenience when it comes to the use of the Ghana cedi. And then the last one, which was to ensure that the issue of counterfeiting is removed out of the system completely. Now, the question I ask is, was the intended purpose met? And if it was met, did it benefit the country? Now, what was the central bank even saying? And I have listened to what happened today. I listened to the president in his delivery at the Cedi's International Conference, where he spoke about how the cedi is performing, the cedi rate and everything. He even touted the governance of the central bank for their tremendous impact and policies they have put in place to see to it that the cedi is doing well. And he stated clearly, again, the reasons for the change that we have seen in times past. And for me, even though the central bank's effort to promote digital payment and financial inclusion has increased and has increased access to financial resources, I have my own doubt. And this is where I have my doubt. Look, the changes to the cedi from the year 2007 through to 2019, I believe has not really benefited Ghanaians. And this is why I say so. The 2007 denomination was intended to satisfy and simplify transactions. But what happened? It failed to curb the issue of inflation or even stabilize our currency. So we are redenominating. Yes, we are trying to make things easy for Ghanaians. But the point is that inflation was so high such that the average Ghanaian person could not even have access to this Cedi we are talking about. So then the question is, why the change? Why the redenomination? What was really the essence? If it's just about changing the Cedi note, then I have my own doubts. Then let's look at the next thing. The new banknotes and coins that were introduced in 2012 and 2019 were just, for me, I feel was just cosmetic changes that really did not address the underlying economic issues. Because the point is that if inflation was high, if Ghana as a country was battling with economic crisis as a result of issues that has to do with COVID and even issues that happened before COVID, was the solution an introduction of a new currency, or we needed to sit down and formulate a policy that will rather solve the issue of inflation and the underlying economic crisis we're facing as a country? Because in 2019, for instance, COVID affected the whole of the world, but we didn't see countries introducing new currencies, and yet they were able to resolve the economic crisis. So why the introduction of the new currency? And I've always said that, look, the introduction of the 100 cedis note and the 200 cedi note, for instance, are just a reflection of the fact that the country was facing high inflation rates. And we as a country, our leaders were just playing around and trying to catch up with the depreciation of the currency instead of addressing the root cause of the issue. To our leaders out there, sometimes we need to be told the truth. Yes, currently the Cedi is doing so well. The Cedi is paired just approximately around 11 cedis up against the dollar. But would there ever be a time where the Cedi will be pegged 1 Cedi to $1, or even the Cedi be pegged 1 Cedi to $3? I can't wait for that time. I just can't wait. Well, we are going to delve into this matter that has to do with the Cedi at 60 when we come back. So please stay with us. I have in the studio one gentleman that I believe is going to do justice to the issues that I've raised earlier. And so stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the discussion segment of the National Agenda today. And just like I stated earlier, Cedi is at 60. And earlier today, we've seen the president of the country, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in a speech, make certain statement. And according to him, the Cedi has done so well, or is doing so well. And as a matter of fact, he has applauded the governors of the central bank. He believes that the milestone that has been achieved is as a result of policies they have formulated. But I have in the studios with me people or somebody that believes otherwise, and there is no other person than Daniel Frimpong. He is one of the executive secretaries to the NPP's national treasurer, Dr. Jamila. Daniel, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to always have you in the studio.
Good to be here too.
The Cedi is 60 years old.
Yeah.
We should be celebrating by this time.
We should be celebrating, but it's our pocket saying so.
Our pockets are not celebrating.
That is it. So we should look at our pocket. If our pocket is saying we should celebrate, then we should indeed celebrate. I mean, but notwithstanding, we've made some gains.
Exactly.
60 years of our Cedi, at least as a sovereign nation, we've made some gains.
Exactly. That was certainly my point, because I believe that as a sovereign country, we having a currency that determines our purchasing power alone is something we need to celebrate.
Sure.
And let me go straight to you, Danny. Let me ask you straightforward. What is your stance when it comes to the government's management of the Cedi?
The Cedi has gone through various transformations. It started way back 1965, and we've gotten here. So since 1992, we had a new currency 2007 when former President Kufuor was he bet the currency that we are using right now. So this one started from 2007, and that is the Cedi we are still using. And so Ofobi, I don't think the current government has done anything extraordinary to warrant any applaud or anything.
The moment you say so,
because the both political parties, both NPP and NDC, had the opportunity to rule Ghana for a period of time, and it is the same currency we've been using throughout. So I don't think, even they have been in government less than 1 year. So what has they done that we should applaud them?
Are we taking away from them the fact that now the Cedi, when pegged to the dollar, is doing approximately around 11 cedis?
And that is one of our problems as a country. Why must we always peg our Cedi to that of a dollar?
But I believe it is an international currency.
Okay, so
it is laudable if we peg the Cedi against it.
This shows how our leaders have failed. Because if our leaders have led us to a way that we are producing more and we are exporting more than we are importing into our country, we will not be here pegging our Cedi to that of a dollar to determine whether our Cedi is doing well or it's not doing well. You see, so it shows how our leaders have failed us as a country. So they should not tout themselves as doing anything. They've not done anything, because the NDC is in power right now, and the Cedi and the dollar keeps on rising. It's not coming down. They picked it from President Kufuor at 1 Ghana cedis, and they left it 4 Ghana cedis when they were leaving power, 2016. And the NDC, the NPP also, when they came to power, at least the dollar, when they were leaving, they left it around 14 cedis. The NDC claimed that they've done something and the dollar has come down. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They are not even 1 year in office, so they should stop touting themselves. They have not done anything. To me, when you ask me, they've not done anything extraordinary.
So you're asking us that we should forget about the fact that now, when people get to the market and they are trading internationally, the Cedi, for want of a better word, holds water.
It's Ofobi.
Is that what you're saying? Because to the businessman out there, these mechanisms or these things that has to do with the currency being pegged at the dollar really matters for them.
If we are being truthful to ourselves, you and I will tell ourselves that the NDC has not done anything extraordinary for the dollar to come down. You and I know that it is because of the trade war that was going on between Donald Trump and the Asians. The dollar the value of the dollar came down. It's not only in Ghana. So that is why I'm saying that the NDC has not done anything extraordinary. So they shouldn't tout themselves that they have made sure the dollar comes down. They have not done anything. They didn't do it. It's not their doing. So they shouldn't tout themselves as that, because we all know the trade war that was happening between the Asian and across the world. Okay, the dollar prices came down. The value of the dollar came down.
Sure, that's
fine. So it's not the doing of the NDC.
They have a point if they are arguing, especially looking at the fact that when you were in office, the Cedi was performing abysmally as compared to the dollar.
So, Ofobi, you see, that is the hypocritical mindset of the NDC. Always that's what they say. Because, Mr. Ofobi, when we were in power and COVID strike, the whole world was affected. The whole world was affected.
So COVID
but the NDC, yes, but the NDC never admitted that the COVID was part of the reason why our Cedi, the value of the Cedi depreciated. They never admitted.
Hold on even that grounds, they also came up with the argument that there was a certain swine flu in Africa that was more or less like another epidemic.
So can you compare epidemic to that of the pandemic? This affected the whole world,
but that also affected the country.
So you see, so this one affected certain countries, not all. But this is a pandemic that affected the whole world. You understand? So, Mr. Ofobi, for instance, if you are affected and I'm not affected, I can support you. But if the two of us are affected, And I cannot support you. You understand?
I get you.
So they shouldn't do that comparison. It doesn't hold water. You understand? So for me, they've not done anything to warrant any applaud.
Quickly, then we are celebrating 60 years, right? How do you think this celebration, or on what grounds can this celebration be used to foster unity as a nation, to foster peace and security, and even economic growth at large?
See, so, Mr. Ofobi, at least we, as I said earlier, we've made a milestone. At least having our city as a country is an achievement that we've been through, because every sovereign country, one of the key things that you must have is your currency. You understand? And it's part of the economic, it helps in our economic resilience and the sovereignty and the growth of our economy. So at least through that, we've achieved something as a country. And what I am saying is that it is something that all of us, we are proud of as a nation, but we should also learn as political actors that how do we make sure that our city stay at the top. Our city, when we are talking about our currency, you know, in the whole world, at least something positive will be say about our currency. And that is why I mentioned that we must make sure that we export more, we produce more and export it, so that when we export it out there, we will also make sure that we are projecting our city out there. You understand?
So that is even on the economic side. But yes, I am also interested in knowing how we as a country can promote national unity. You see, when we are celebrating independence, we have a day for commemoration. We meet, we march, we celebrate, right? Just in remembrance of the toil of our forefathers. Now the city is also 60 years, and I'm looking at, could there be anything that we as a country could do to ensure that people all over the country, across the country, can come together? You know, we are experiencing a lot of disputes, chieftaincy disputes, tribal wars, things that we didn't see in times past. And I'm asking, how can the celebration of this city be used as a tool to, you know?
Mr. Ofobi, so this is the time for both political parties to put their political colors aside and come together as a nation in celebration of our currency. You said, you made reference of the president talking about the city today at the conference center. Let me ask you, how many of the NPP or the former president who even bet the currency we are using right now, was he invited there? So it shows how disunity we are as a country.
We saw former governors of the central bank there.
So
these former governments were appointed by previous presidents, previous political actors.
You see, so Mr. Ofobi, the former governors, they were appointed by previous political actors. But ask yourself, were those who appointed them, were they there?
We saw the former minister for finance. I mean, not the recent one.
So where is the recent one? The former president we had. No, you know, in a country, the highest office of this country is the presidency.
Okay.
So in celebration of our city, if for nothing at all, the one who bet the city we are using right now should be invited.
I mean, I tend to even consider what you are saying, looking at the fact that that individual who gave birth to the current CD we are using was absent. I mean, the former president, John Ajay. Yes, but probably you never know. Maybe he was invited, but for some reasons he could not attend.
Okay.
Yes. So beyond that, Danny, I'm saying this to make a point. Beyond this, what are some of the things we can do to ensure that this celebration continues to foster peace?
You see, I remember when the former President Kofo was introducing the currency that we are using, and the songs that came with it. The Bank
Can you
of
sing
Ghana,
any of them?
The Bank of Ghana is
our currency
from
July 2007,
and they mentioned the value is the same. Like the one ball of kinky you buy for, the value is the same, and one kinky you buy for 10,000 will be 10 Ghana pesos. You see, and when those songs resonated with the ordinary Ghanaian, these are some of the things we should be doing. National songs, you understand? But
about the city,
So Ofobi, today, if you take your cameras and go out and you ask how many Ghanaians know that something happened today, even at the conference center, you will not get, when you interview 10 people, you will not get even 8 of them who is aware of what is happening. That we are even celebrating our city. That's the truth. That's the hard reality. How many people are aware that we are celebrating our currency?
Knowing these hard realities, what are some of the things, some of the measures that you recommend that we put in place to ensure that our CD, one, it does well on the international market, 2, our CD resonates well with our identity as a people, and 3, we see that it reflects into the well-being of the average Ghanaian?
So I said this earlier, that for our city to reflect in the international market, we must make sure that we produce more and export more. You understand? Yeah. Because if you are importing, you have to obviously change your cedi to that of the dollar before you can bring your goods into this country. So when you do those things, you are not projecting your currency. You understand?
But talking about we producing more, we do not have the systems available.
So why don't we have the system? If you are celebrating a 60 year of a currency and you don't have the resources, Mr. Ofobi, when you say this things anywhere, any Western world, they will see you as a failure. 60 years. Ask yourself, 60 years. Last time I said this in this studio, and Nkrumah's time, do you know how many factories we had in this country?
And what happened?
What becomes of them? We sold some of them to some pastors. Some of them are churches now. And when you say it,
but it didn't happen in just a day.
NDC. It happened under the
But
NDC.
we've also seen the MPP government, engage in the selling of some state entities.
State factories.
I mean, all those, if not a factory.
So which state entity, for instance,
you know them.
And give me an example. You are mentioning it. You said I know them. I don't know. So give me an example.
We have seen issues that have come up with the PDS deal. We've seen Vodafone and Ghana Telecom and Vodafone and all those issues. I mean, that's just by way. So let's go back to the thing, the question I asked you on how we can make sure that the CD performs well. You made a good point. So what was the other thing? Let's carry on.
So you were asking how it can even reflect in. You see, right now I asked you a question. How many people knows that even we are celebrating our CD today? Is it reflecting in our pockets? You said we should celebrate. I should use what to celebrate? The CD you are talking about, I don't even have it. How do I celebrate it? So you understand? When you go to the ordinary Ghanaians, ask them how they are feeling in their pocket. If I'm not feeling in my pocket, how do I celebrate it? You understand? So we should.
I get you. It's been very insightful, Daniel. We really appreciate your time. This is where we have to draw the curtains down, and hopefully on another episode we will delve into some matters that we could not talk about. So we are grateful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Viewers, we have come to the end of today's episode of the National Agenda. We spoke about the cedi. It is our hopes that going forward, the Ghanaian cedi would be at par with the dollar, and if not even at par, the dollar will be like $3 to 1 cedi. I'm praying and hoping for the day that this will happen. Look, for those of you out there, let's get interactive on all our social media handles. You can subscribe to our YouTube handle and click on your notification bell so that whenever we post, you get a notification. Please comment. You never know. I always say this. One of these days, your comment could be aired on the show, and probably you will be invited so that people will hear from you. This has been the National Agenda.